There is a moment in every great story where something walks in that was never supposed to be there. Something the world was not built to handle. Something that rewrites every rule the moment it arrives. The DC universe has spent decades building its rules. Superman carries the weight of a dying planet on his shoulders and somehow still smiles. Batman lost everything as a child and turned grief into the most dangerous mind on Earth. Wonder Woman fights not because she has to, but because she genuinely believes the world is worth saving. These are not just powerful people. These are people who sacrifice everything for something bigger than themselves. And today, on a quiet street in Metropolis, every single one of them is about to realize that nothing they have ever faced prepared them for the young man standing in the shadow at the end of the road. His name is Sung Jinwoo, and he did not come here to be understood. Superman arrives first. He always does. That is who he is, the one who shows up for anyone else, who puts himself between the unknown and the people who cannot protect themselves. He lands 20 meters from Jinwoo and feels something immediately that he cannot name. Not a threat, exactly, not a hostility, something older than either of those things. He scans Jinwoo with every ability he has. No alien biology, no energy signature, just a person, a quiet young man with dark eyes standing in the middle of the street while the shadows around him move like they are breathing. Superman steps forward and says gently, the way he always says everything, "Are you alright?" And Jinwoo looks at him. Here is the suspense, because in that look, in the 3 seconds of silence that follow Superman's question, something passes between them that neither of them has words for. Superman has looked into the eyes of gods and generals and broken men and desperate ones. He knows what fear looks like. He knows what rage looks like. What he sees in Jinwoo's eyes is neither. It is the expression of someone who has already been through something so consuming, so total, so far beyond what language can hold, that the world in front of him, no matter how vast, simply does not frighten him anymore. And Superman, who has never once in his life felt small, feels something in that moment that sits uncomfortably close to that feeling. The Justice League assembles, and the tension in the air is the kind that has no name. Batman watches from 17 different camera angles and runs every scenario he has and does not like any of them because every scenario ends the same way, with a variable he cannot account for. Wonder Woman stands with her hand near her sword, not because she wants to use it, but because she has learned that the moment you stop being ready is the moment everything changes. Green Lantern's ring is that full charge. Flash is vibrating slightly, the way he does when something feels wrong, but he cannot identify where the wrong is coming from. And Jinwoo stands in the center of it all, still quiet, hands in his pockets, while the shadows behind him grow the way night grows, slowly, and then completely. Then Darkseid comes, and the moment he arrives, the temperature of the scene changes entirely, because Darkseid does not come for small reasons. He does not investigate curiosities. He only moves toward one thing: power, real power, the kind that could threaten him or serve him. He felt Jinwoo from Apocalypse, and he came because something in this universe is radiating a darkness that does not belong to any civilization he has ever conquered. He arrives with his Omega beams charged and 5,000 years of absolute certainty behind his eyes. He looks at Jinwoo the way a king looks at an object he has not yet decided whether to claim or destroy. The Omega beams fire. They have erased gods. They have never missed. They have never been absorbed or deflected or outrun. And here is the resolution. Not a fight, not a clash of powers, but a single quiet movement that changes everything. Jinwoo steps sideways into the shadow beside him. The Omega beams pass through empty air and strike nothing, and Jinwoo steps back out from the shadow behind Darkseid, close enough to reach out and touch him. What happens next is not violent. It is worse than violent, because violence can be understood. Violence has a shape and a sound and an aftermath that makes sense. What Jinwoo does has none of those things. The shadow beneath Darkseid's feet, the darkness his own body casts onto the ground, separates from him, rises, stands, and turns to face its origin. Darkseid looks at the dark reflection of himself standing behind Sung Jinwoo and feels the thing he has spent 5,000 years ensuring nobody could ever make him feel. He feels what his own victims felt looking up at him. He feels like the smaller thing in the room. The Justice League does not move, not because they can't, because in this moment, watching the most powerful tyrant in the known universe stand diminished before a young man who has said almost nothing since he arrived, they understand something that all their power and all their sacrifice and all their years of saving the world never quite taught them. There are things in existence that operate beyond the scale of heroism and villainy both, things that are simply what they are. Sung Jinwoo is not a hero. He is not a conqueror. He is a product of something so heinous, so relentless, so completely without mercy. A journey from the weakest to the absolute apex of everything that the universe he is standing in simply does not have the emotional vocabulary to process him yet. Batman says one thing into the comms when it's over: "We are adding him to the list." Superman asks, "Which list?" Batman says, "The one with one name on it." And for the first time in a long time, Superman does not have a follow-up question. What happens when Jinwoo finds the Phantom Zone and realizes it's the largest collection of unclaimed shadows he has ever seen is a conversation for another day. We will meet in the next video.
Damn E-Ring slowing us down.
Jinwoo's in the dungeon? Is this a joke?
You have to be at least a B rank to kill that on your own.
Are you sure that Hunter Sung is of age? It's impressive how much stronger you get, Jimmy. You only need one form, a second awakening.
Right. feeling, are you?
His power feels almost inhuman.
That's crazy. How is he that strong?
He's the 10th person ever in our country to be an S rank.
I've faced kings. I've faced gods. But in those moments, I realized something crucial. Strength isn't just about defeating your enemies. It's about rising above the fear of defeat. People always ask, how did you become so strong? The answer is simple. I never stopped. Looks like it's over. The true of humans? It's forged in the fires of hardship. That's when you decide what you're made of. That's when you rise. Rise from your fears. Rise from your doubts. Because the world belongs to those who refuse to stay down.